your current location becomes a very important factor in determining your odds of landing your tech job. So in this video, I have broken down based on data what is the best tech job market in the US, especially for beginner roles. And to be honest, results were very surprising even for me. So for this analysis, I've looked at job openings in different states, in different metropolitan areas, trying to see if a new tech professional like you have to pick one area to maximize their odds of landing their job, what that location should be. So with that question in mind, let's see what the data says. As a first step, I started looking into the job openings for different states in the US. And based on that, these are the top 10 states with most number of tech job openings. As you can see, there's no surprise, California is on the top of the list. The next is Texas. But considering this is a state level data and not a city level data, I think this information is not very useful, especially if you're trying to see where you should be located in terms of increasing your odds of landing a job. For example, when you look at California, there are two main centers where most of the job openings are. So there is San Francisco Bay Area in the north, and then there is LA metro area in the south. And these two hubs are at a 6 hours drive. So if you are living in one and there is a job opening in the other one, it is very difficult for you to get that job, even if you are in the same state. The same story is true for Texas. In Texas, there are 3 metro areas. There is Austin, there is Houston, and then there is Dallas. Each is about 3 hours apart from each other. So if you are located in one, the job openings which are available in the other metros in the same state are essentially useless to you. So a much more useful information is when you look at the number of job openings per metro area. And when we look at the top metro area job openings in the US, we see a list like this. Now it is quite surprising that New York has more job openings than California and Texas. What you have to keep into account is that San Francisco metropolitan area and San Jose metropolitan area, they are essentially one, and they are called the Silicon Valley. So basically the Silicon Valley, which is San Francisco Bay Area, if you look at it, you have to combine the job posting in San Francisco Metro and San Jose Metro, which turns out to be about 730K, which is much higher than New York City. So of course, San Francisco Bay Area has much more job openings than any other metro area in the world. But there is another trend which you have to look at, which is what is the growth of each of these job sectors. Now there are 2 data points here which you should be keeping into account. First is that when we look at the job gains per metro area, which is how many new jobs this area got compared to years before, we can see that New York City is pretty much top of the list, second only to Dallas, whereas San Jose or San Francisco is nowhere here. And that is because a lot of jobs have moved away from the San Francisco Bay Area in the recent years. When I started my tech career in the San Francisco Bay Area, about 25% of the US tech jobs were in that one area. And it had 3 times more jobs than New York metropolitan area. But if we look today, New York City has about 6,000 tech jobs, whereas San Francisco Bay Area, that is Silicon Valley, is slightly higher at about 730. So over the last 9 years, it has shrunk from being 3 times bigger to only 1.2 times bigger. And that is one of the reasons why I personally moved from Silicon Valley to New York City metro area, because number of jobs today in this area are almost as good as Silicon Valley, and you don't have to pay a premium on the housing cost and all other costs. So in nutshell, New York City currently has almost as many jobs as the San Francisco Bay Area, which is still at the top. But if you look at the growth rate, New York City is growing a lot in terms of new tech jobs. Another very important distinction between these 2 areas, which is San Francisco Bay Area and New York City metropolitan area, is that Silicon Valley has a lot more tech openings for senior roles, whereas in New York, there are a lot more job opportunities, especially compared to San Francisco Bay Area, for the beginner level IT roles. So let's quickly test that hypothesis by going on to LinkedIn jobs. So if we go to LinkedIn and we try to see for software engineer positions in New York City, there are about 18,625 results. Now compare that to software engineer jobs in the San Francisco Bay Area, there are about 21,000 roles. So almost equal, but of course San Francisco Bay Area has more job openings. So now let's filter it down only to look at the junior level roles. So when I apply this filter of internship, entry level, and associate as the experience level, then the results are almost flipped. So now New York City has more job openings for these entry level roles than San Francisco Bay Area. And though I did not find the data, I think when we look at the distribution of the number of candidates for these entry level positions, there are more entry level candidates in the San Francisco Bay Area because of all the tech atmosphere they have than there are in New York City area. So given the demand and supply, I think for an entry level person, the best place to be in the US is the New York City metropolitan area. A, because the number of job openings for the new roles is the highest here, and the second is that it is still growing at a much higher pace than other areas, and the third thing is that the cost of living here is not as difficult as, for example, San Francisco Bay Area. And lastly, the number of applicant pool is much better than, for example, San Francisco Bay Area. So based on all this information, I think New York City metro area is the best place to be for someone who is new in their tech career. If you have any other opinions, I would love to hear them. Please feel free to post them in the comments below. Another question which I've tried to tackle in this video is that what are the top IT skills which are most in demand in 2024? And I've looked at factors like what is the number of job openings, what is their future looking projections, what is the average salary, all that factor. So I hope you liked this video as well. Please check it out. Thank you so much for watching.